Hello, recording in progress. We just went through the first hurdle, was like, how do we share Zoom and that kind of thing. So here we are.
Yeah.
The Caralyn and Liz navigating storms shit show. You wrote a fucking book.
I did.
You wrote a book. So, like I just was thinking, like, we're just gonna have to jump in and like introduce ourselves. Who are we? How do we know one another? What the fuck are we doing here? And what are the rules? Okay, so I am Caralyn. I met Liz through a mutual friend, Deb, which she writes about in Navigating Shitstorms. I think Deb thought we would be a good match because I cry all the time. And she said you used to as well.
Not used to, still do. I mean,
Okay,
I was a champion crier, and now I'm a general crier participant in the world.
Yes, yes. And what I realize about myself is sometimes some of my crying is actually like basically a spirit moving through me, loving the person that I'm talking to when I'm trying to share something that's like super important to me, and like that's okay.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
okay.
It's all the crying is okay.
That's
Yes.
okay. So
Yes.
I have been introduced to, like, I've known who you are for a while, like sort of vicariously through Deb. And I've been following you a little bit here and there. And then we finally met one another kind of online, and you asked me to work with you. And I think I just cried through that whole thing. And I'm like, this is so unprofessional. I've never had like a real professional job. And I'm like, I need to be your friend and also your colleague and just be who I am. And how do I do that? And you're like, it's okay. I got this book, and we're just going to go through it together. So here we are, just shooting the fucking shit. So who are you and why are we doing this? What are we doing?
Well, we're figuring it out as we go, I think, as far as what we're doing. But I have a really strong inkling that it's going to be epic. I think for the listeners, it's important to state at this point that we are acquaintances and we do not really know much at all about each other, about our histories, about our current lives. I mean, I know some top line things about you from our conversations and from social media and from Deb. But most of the conversations all of the conversations that we're going to have are going to be organic and for the first time and completely unscripted and from the heart.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really cool concept to get to know each other and talk about all kinds of things. Well, it's being recorded.
While it's being recorded. and like right now we have listening audience of 0. We are aware that this lighting sucks. Like, your lighting's actually pretty good. I'm just using this for a mic. We're not like Glennon Doyle, Abby kind of like
no.
set up. I am going to have to learn how to edit videos. I have to learn social media. I'm a little bit crapping my pants, but that's okay. We're just going to figure it out as we go along. But the reason why I wanted to start this with you was because it needs to be easy for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Like yep. If I have to be professional to start something, I'm never going to start something. So
well said. And that's the case with almost anything that we have, these grand ideas that, wouldn't it be great? We should do this, we should do that. And then when the reality of the logistics kind of sink in, you go, oh shit, that's a huge thing. It's a thing. I mean, just the YouTube channel was a thing. And I spent a couple of hours, and I don't know if I've got the settings right. We'll have to sort that out. But
yeah, like it's
getting things organized.
But isn't that the story of life, right? Like you literally just get thrown into the fire. And actually, I think that's when we perform best, right? Like when it's the hardest things, all of a sudden we rise to the occasion and we just figure shit out. Like, that's what people do, right?
Yeah. So, well, nothing ever happens if you don't start. I mean, you have to start somewhere, and it doesn't have to be your best, and it doesn't have to be, as great as you hoped or as great as it will be down the road. But if you don't start, then it's never going to happen.
Yeah. And so the idea of this is, like, we're going to mostly focus on you because I want to talk about your book, and maybe today is not the day that we're going to get into it because I have other things I want to talk about as well. But we're going to mostly focus on you. I sort of will act as host. Eventually we'll get the lighting all set up properly, and we're just going to roll with it. So So you wrote a book, and that's the main thing that is like important to me, navigating shitstorms. So I have this little bookmark that you gave to me, and it talks about intrinsic courage. Do you know it off by heart, or do you need me to read it?
I do. I
Okay,
do know it off by heart now. Yes.
Can you share what your intrinsic courage code is? Because I love it.
I will. It's a definition that I came up with, and when I came up with it, I thought it was pretty fucking smart and honorable and all good, great, wonderful things that were going to change the world. And then I started practicing it intentionally daily in my own life, and it's a little bit harder than you think. So here's my definition of intrinsic courage, and it's I do believe wholeheartedly that it is the way. Intrinsic courage is our ability to view every past experience, every current situation, and every person involved with compassion and love. And I mean, our past experiences, we have a choice about how we think about them, about the stories we tell about them, about the meanings we attach to them. So that's a whole thing we can delve into. And our current situations are the present moment and the shit storms, if we're in one, that are going on. And the other last note, and this is for me, and I suspect for a lot of people, one of the hardest things is the every person part, because every person includes not only the other people involved, but it also includes ourselves. Mm-hmm. And that to view ourselves with compassion and love is oftentimes the biggest hurdle in whatever shitstorm is happening.
Yeah, so true, right? Because it's like the perception's all from within, and we're creating it within, and
yes,
as within, so without, right?
Yes, we're often more critical and judgmental and hardest on ourselves.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, we cut slack for everybody else. We, you know, not make excuses. Well, sometimes we make excuses for other people. Sometimes we make excuses for ourselves, but we're kinder and more understanding usually with other people.
Totally. And once you can do it for yourself, that to me is like, well, that's really the your book in a nutshell, right? Because once you can do it for yourselves, like it really is easy to see it all, the goodness in everybody else as well, right? Like,
you nailed it, Caralyn. That makes me so happy. Yes, and even it's a yes, and we actually can't do it. We can't show the true compassion and love for other people and situations until first we can do it for ourselves.
Yeah. And that's hard, right? Because it's this continual, like what I said to my one of my friends is like, you think you know yourself, and then something new is sort of revealed, and then you sort of like go through this valley, and it's not point A to point B in a straight line. It's this curvy thing, right? And then you think you know yourself, and then the universe is like, oh, but let me show you more. Oh, but let me show you more. And you're like, God damn, it's never gonna fucking end.
No,
let's just say this.
We should do a language. We need to do a language check.
So the reason why I think Deb thought we were gonna get along really well is we are sweary Sherrys. We swear a motherfucking. And yes, it just is what it is. I really don't think I would survive in the business world because I could not filter myself well enough. But what are the rules? What are the rules for this?
Well, the rules are, if you're not okay with the language, then the shit show's not for you.
The shit show's not for you. If you have it all together, bye-bye.
Right. Well, and wish you well. And if it's not language that you're comfortable listening to, clearly by the title of my book, our conversations aren't going to be the right fit.
They're not going to be PG. Are any questions off limits? Are any topics off limits? Because I tend not to have a filter, so
no filter.
Might get a little bit raunchy and raw.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. I think, I don't know what I'm in for, but it's real. So.
Yeah. So I want to talk about a current event topic that you mentioned. do you want to reveal what it is? Because you're doing
I don't
something.
know. I don't know what you're referring to. So
Oh,
you reveal.
I thought you know. There's a nude class that's coming up in your future. There's some nude things going on. What
Oh,
the heck is this all about, and why?
yes.
And like, explain it to me.
Okay. I'm going to start at the very, very beginning, I guess. A couple of years ago, I hired a fearless soul coach, Charlene Light. We'll put her link in the notes for this episode.
Mm.
And I is still in the midst of writing my book. I think I was getting towards the end of the first draft, in and around there, and finding my voice for the first time ever in my life. And I know it's kind of hard to imagine, late 50s. And I hired this woman to help guide me. And so she would task me with these fearless acts after long conversations and initial assessments and all of that. And the first thing she tasked me with was doing a Facebook Live. I thought I was going to fucking die.
Oh my goodness.
I committed to doing it. I probably spent 6 hours preparing, shooting little videos of myself and watching myself and going, oh my God, I can't put that out there in the world.
Was that time well spent, or like a waste of time?
You know what? In hindsight, it was totally unnecessary. But it was something that I obviously had to go through. It was part of my process. And figuring out all the tech. I was not on social media much at all. And the live and the camera and the like, everything was a big, huge vertical learning curve for me. Anyways, I committed to doing it for, I think it was like 10 minutes a day for 30 days. And
every day you had to do a live?
Yes.
I recall this. I don't think I watched them, sorry.
Oh my God. I probably still have some of those early things on my Facebook, and they're fucking brutal. But they're there. They are what they are.
Yeah.
So that was the one thing. And then the other thing she tasked me with was committing to being a nude model for an art class. And I was like, there is no way.
Bad idea of all the ideas.
I don't know. She comes up with these specific things that are designed for the individual. It's not like she's got a stock of things. She's very intuitive, and she's a soul coach. So that's a whole nother thing. So that was funny. My task.
I had a soul coach too, funnily.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll have to do another episode
there's so
about
many,
that.
Yeah, there's so many correlations between us. It's funny.
I know.
Yeah.
So at the time I was living very remotely on a lake in the middle of nowhere. And there were still some COVID restrictions. So it was one of those, well, I'll have to look into it and see if and when it can happen. And then I decided to move across the country to the West Coast. And when I got here, she checked in, little reminder, how you doing? What's going on? And so I spent a bit of time looking over in Vancouver for opportunities, and it's a couple of hours for me, and a ferry. It's not like a little, jaunt for me to get to the city. And there were a couple opportunities, but they wanted a resume and, my experience. Like I don't have an experience. I don't even know what I'm doing. And then it just became a little overwhelming, and I was busy with my book coming out and a bunch of other things. Shelved it again. And then I met this lovely woman named Paula at an author event that was also with artists. And she was there promoting her artwork. And we got chatting, and she mentioned that there's a life drawing class right here in my very small community of maybe 10,000 people.
Wow. What are the odds of that?
Right?
I don't know where the nearest life drawing class is to me.
I don't know. You might be surprised.
But maybe I'm not looking for it.
And she said they're always looking for nude models. And I was like, damn, boom. It's right there in my face.
And so you decided to be a nude model in your own freaking town?
Yeah. Yeah. Where I might run into somebody who had drawn me naked at the grocery store.
Yeah. Like,
so the reason for it, and I appreciate, and I don't know, I'm excited, nervous. I'm a whole host of swirly emotions about it inside. The reason I'm doing it, one, because I said I would 2 years ago. I haven't done it yet. I do like to keep my word to myself, that it matters. And I've come so far in learning to love myself. And my true definition, though, is learning to love ourselves without limits or conditions. And as a 61-year-old woman, well, as any woman, we're critical about ourselves and primarily about our appearance. And there's a lot of reasons for that, and a lot of individual reasons for that for everybody. But for me, it was, and I remember the day, and it was about a year ago, I looked in the mirror for the first time, and all the skin on my upper arms is fucking crepey. It's old lady crepey now.
You got old lady arms? Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So I have that to look forward to. I'm about to turn 50. So you've got 11 years on me. So like, amen.
Right?
It's what to come. Whatever.
Right? You got crepey arms. And so this summer I was like, oh my God, I'm not wearing sleeveless tops. I got crepey arms. People are see the crepey skin. It's crepey skin, you know?
So then you slowly hide yourself.
And I thought, no. I need to keep on the train, keep on the loving myself train. And that train's chugging along, and the years are chugging along, and my physical body is changing, and I doing what I can to embrace that. So for me, it's a big hugely out of my comfort zone step that I hope is going to make the crepey less.
This is next week. Like, have you been to a class yet?
Okay,
so like, tell me about this.
So the date for me being the model is the 17th of October, next Tuesday. And I thought it would be a very good idea to do some a reconnaissance mission. So this is a drop-in class. It's $20. There's no instruction provided. For $20, you get to go. They provide an easel, a space, and they provide a nude model. So I
was
went.
that your first experience with a nude model?
Yeah.
Male or female?
It was a male. So I went a couple days ago, and
like, and you saw all of them, like 360.
Yeah. Saw penis for the first time in, like, I don't know, many years,
Hello.
like 4 years.
Looking at you with one good eye, as Robin Williams says.
So he was a nice looking man with a nice physique. He would be, I don't know, maybe mid to late 40s, I would guess. And he's done this quite a bit. And a couple of people there, well, the coordinator and my friend who introduced me to this, shared that I was going to be the model next week. So he's like, oh, that's great. You know, have you ever done it before? I'm like, no. And he said, yeah, the first time is the weirdest for sure. I don't know if there will be a second time. Too early to say. So he gave me a few tips. And what was important for me was to see, you know, the space and to kind of see what he did. So their structure is very set out. So the models do 15 1-minute poses. So for 1 minute, you can pretty much hold any pose for a minute, right?
Yeah.
And they like for the models to be active and not what was the word they used? Static, not static. They want, you know, some, especially for the 1 minute things, to be more grand gestures. Right?
You've totally been practicing in the mirror, haven't you? You have to.
I did this morning for like 5 minutes, just a few of the 1 minutes, because you don't have much time, right? I got to come up with 15 different poses for a minute. And then there's, I think, 2 5-minute poses, and then a 10-minute pose, and 2 15-minute poses, and 2 20-minute poses.
How long is this?
And then there's a half-hour break, and then you come back and you do 2 30-minute poses. So it's like from 10 till 1.
Oh,
it's a half-hour break. So it's like 3.5 hours of naked posing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I said to my friend Paula, like, you'll let me know if I get myself into a pose for 20 minutes, if there's no fucking way I can hold it for 20 minutes, right? Like, I'm going to need some direction here. And she's like, oh, yeah, of course. So, and I have some physical limitations too. I still have a
Your
frozen
shoulder.
shoulder. So this arm doesn't really work. And it's also painful in certain positions, but they do provide. So there's a stage, a small stage. I'm guessing it's maybe 4.5 feet square, 2 heaters.
I was gonna ask, I feel like you are gonna be like high beams.
2 heaters, one on either side, full blast.
Yeah.
And then there's also some cushions, some flat cushions, and there's a like a piano stool, you know, little round stool. So so you can, like, if you can lie, one pose he did lying down, and he had the stool beside the little stand, so his head was on the stool and his feet were kind of hanging, or his knees were bent, whatever. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I have so many questions. Like, because like metaphorically, when you look at like biblically, the Garden of Eden, right? Like we perceived shame and we covered ourselves up. So now this is like an uncovering. So like metaphorically, you're literally stripping down, right? So
I'm coming out. So it's, and you know, it's
out.
interesting that you phrased it in such that way, because this, for me, my book launch was August 1st. So my book has just been born into the world. And as I'm finding my voice and becoming more public, and I don't want to take away language from a group that that is not mine to, so, but it's like a coming out for me. Finally, I have found my true self, and now I'm starting to show it to the world. Not that I'm going to show the whole world my nakedness, because I'm not.
Yeah.
But I'm going to show the 15 people that are there.
Yeah.
And that's huge.
And interestingly, it will be, how do I say this? Like, you're revealing yourself in a way to people, but they will have their perception of how they're perceiving you and how they want to take that and put it on their canvas. And that's their story about who you are, which is nothing about like who you are in general. So even like to go around and see all the different artist drawings and how they captured you, they're actually not, I don't think, looking at you like, oh, this woman is naked Liz. Like they don't have any perception.
They don't even know me.
They don't even fucking care, actually. They're just doing their art. So they are caring about you. You're caring about what they're thinking, but they don't really care about what you're thinking. You're just like an object in a way where that they're trying to capture and do their thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm really clear, but I'm just imagining like what that's like, right? Like,
I think it's a great analogy, and it fits perfectly with the real world. And when we're out there clothed, right? People judge us, and they look at us, and they have opinions and thoughts about us, and that's none of our business, and we have no control over it. And the kicker is, and you nailed it, is that it really has no impact on who we know we are. Right?
Right. Because if there's 7 billion plus people in the world, then there are 7 billion versions of Liz Long. Because there's my version of Liz, there's Deb's version of Liz, there's your kid's version of Liz, there's your dad's version of Liz. And then there's your version of Liz, which is actually really the only one that matters. Right.
Took me 55 years plus to figure that one out.
Yeah. And then we clothe ourselves too, right? Like right now you're Liz that looks kind of like an artist, you're kind of funky or whatever, but there's like Liz in her sweats, Liz in her business suit, Liz who used to be a real estate agent selling homes, and the Liz that's a mom with like
and all those rules and all those faces, and we put those on. We put those on when we're with different people, and when we're acting in different roles. And sometimes they're authentic, and sometimes we put them on because we think that's what we should, or we think that's what other people want to see, or we think that's what other people will accept. You know?
Yeah. So do you think like, okay, how do I phrase this? Like, it's scary, but now that I've been talking about it, I've kind of like calmed myself down into this and being like, well, actually, this is not a big deal at all. This is just like I remember, and maybe you've had this experience when I had a kid, right? And you're in the hospital
Yeah.
room, and I would never bear my breasts, but then you're learning to breastfeed, and you're like, come in and see me. I know effing care. You want that lactation consultant helping, and she's got her hand on your boob, and you're sticking like you just don't care in that moment, and all of a sudden your body is you become something new in a way that
Yeah.
you didn't know, right?
The
So
purpose changes. Yeah.
yeah, and so even with this art, it's becoming re-known to yourself in a different way, like
Mm,
re-knowing yourself, right? Because you're working through all the mental stuff about it, and then you actually have to do it, and then you've got the what you're thinking the perception is of this unveiling of everything of you. And there
yeah.
you are, and you're just standing in your nakedness with
Yeah.
nothing to hide at all, except maybe a pillow. You could
For
put a
three and a
pillow
half hours.
for 3.5 hours in different poses. I'm thinking, like, did you try like a bowling pose, eating ice cream, like singing at the microphone?
Yeah, yeah. The only prop they had, and that's a good question. I don't know if they have any other props, or maybe I might bring some props. You
Hmm.
know, if I'm going to do something, I like to do it well, at least give it my best shot. The prop that he had, and I don't know whether it was supplied or he brought, was just a long like broomstick. So there were a couple. I know there
Broomstick?
were a couple poses he did. It was like a warrior with a spear, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
I think I
yeah,
might have, if I was a man, I might have brought a shovel or something like that, or a chainsaw, or not
pitchfork.
a pitchfork, not a broom, but okay.
Well, it didn't have the broom end on it. It was just a handle.
Right, right.
It's just a long stick. So,
Oh my
but
goodness.
that's a really great idea. I wonder what props I might come up with that are easy to bring.
Oh, something will come up.
Yeah.
Something will come up. Something will come up. Okay, I want to sort of shift gears again. I don't know why, but I was reading the first bit of your book. I want to get back to your book just for a second. So I was reading the first bit of 2020, like your prologue, right? Like because shit went down for you in 2020, but went down for a lot of people.
Yeah.
2020 was a huge year of shift for everybody. For me, it was I think we were all trying to recalibrate and figure out who we are in this brave new world that we were experiencing.
Hmm.
And some people, I will reveal a little bit about myself that I discovered this week. I'm a conscious channel. So I love channeled works, and I love listening to channels, and I'm really tied in with spirit. And I have had sessions with channels. My former coach is also a conscious channel, and I've had some sessions with an unconscious channel, blah blah blah. Anyway, all that to say, 2020, this channel that I was talking to said it was a year that people were re-knowing themselves. And some people just stayed the same. Some people just managed or whatever else. And some people really took a deep dive and like, boom, like took a shot out of the stratosphere. And I feel like our stories are so similar because literally March 2020, I was just like in fear. I did a whole deep dive and shit went down, and my family went through hell. I thought I was going to die. I had bad gut issues, and mine manifested as like lots of diarrhea and losing weight.
Oh,
And then I think I was bonking off my antidepressants, and then I was looking manic. But what was also really happening that I couldn't express or share was an awakening to some extent. And
right.
you're getting downloads and you're having an awakening. And when I was reading your November 2020 trip to the place, and I can try, I'm not going to try. I'm feeling like tears coming on because I don't actually love reliving shit, because I feel like we get what
I
we
know.
focus on, and we're
Yeah.
aiming towards solutions, and you and I have really done the work and worked hard towards solutions. So I don't like to really dive into it too much, but it was just so familiar of, I don't know how to say this. I just recognized it. I
Just
recognized it.
floundering,
I recognize,
floundering on a
like, and you
massive,
become suicidal, and you're just
yeah.
like, and I kept saying to my coach, I don't want to kill myself. I just don't want to live anymore. Like, if I could just go to sleep forever and be done. And like, it was just this weird thing that was happening. And I finally, like, I hope my last ditch effort was hiring my mentor, and he saved my life. I saved my life. It was the best investment in my life. I would never have invested in it because it seemed expensive to me at a time. I don't make
Yeah.
tons of money, and investing in a coach is a lot of money. I would have seen it as an expense. I now see it as the best investment ever. I can't even say it without, like, he fucking saved my life. I love this man.
Yeah.
I personally have never met anyone as enlightened as him in real life. Like, I've read Eckhart Tolle and I love Byron Katie. And for me, he was the thing that helped me integrate me back to me and help me understand who I am. And I feel like that's the beginning of your story. Well, the story that's where you started navigating shitstorms is you got on the plane and you went to this place, and I don't even know what this place is, but that you were suicidal as well. And hold on, I'm gonna try to get, this is me, this is like me in spirit and everything else, because I know Deb, and I know Deb, your best friend, and I know who she is as a person, and I love her. Like, I love her. She helped me with my aunt when my aunt had dementia. She was
I
going into
know.
long-term care, and for the audience, a little perspective of, like, yeah, she helped me in that area. So get myself together. And she was there for you. And we all need that, because for me, it was my husband and my children who were the supporting, like, who literally held me to get to where I needed to go. And I think for you, it was Deb that held you to get to where you go, and to make light of it, and to be able to have a friend. And I did have a dear friend too, that just to have that friend that just loves you as you are and not as you should be.
Right.
So can you just, like, a little bit talk about this story, and like let's start at the beginning. And this
Mm.
is like, what the fuck happened, Liz? Like,
Thank
what
you
the
for
fuck?
sharing,
Yeah,
Caralyn.
sorry, sorry.
No, truly that
Sip of tea
I,
now.
I knew bits of that about you, but I didn't know the depths of that.
Oh
And
yeah, like I felt like really redneck shit, right?
oh
Like, I've never broken
yeah,
anything. I've been married 30 years now, but back then it was 27 years. I'd never broken anything. I kicked a door. I kicked my glass door. My daughter called the cops. The ambulance had to come. I went to fucking the emergency care. I talked to, like, the psych people. My family wanted me to go into the psych ward, and I really refused it because I did not want to take any more medication. I did not want to
mm,
take more psych meds. I knew it wasn't helping. I knew I had to get at the spider and stop sweeping at cobwebs. And that's
yeah,
where my coach came in, and I ended up actually
yeah,
getting off my antidepressants and stuff, and just learning how to figure this shit out alone.
yeah,
But if you need psych meds, please take them. I'm not a doctor, and I,
yeah.
like,
It's
you take what you need to do to get through what you need to get through 100%. I was just at the
100%.
point where I was
Yeah.
moving on through it. So enough
Yeah, and
about me.
everybody's different. Everybody's different,
Yeah,
and different things work for different people.
100%. So I'm not advocating that or anything like
Yeah,
that. I'm
yeah,
just saying
yeah,
that's what that was
yeah.
mentioned.
We should
So
probably say here too that neither one of us have any clinical qualifications. I'm not a psychologist or a doctor, therapist at all.
nope.
We are regular human beings like every other
Yeah.
human on the planet,
Yeah.
just sharing
And I
what's
think that's what
been
makes
true
us
for us.
uniquely qualified, because we're just like every other fucking
Yeah.
person in the world. And there's no reason why we can't do this. Life isn't meant to be that hard. We can figure this shit out.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I
I do
mean?
believe that.
Yeah.
Everybody can. Everybody can.
Yeah. So,
So,
like, I want to do about 5 more minutes of just introducing, and then we're going to end up closing up. But I want to know, what the
okay.
hell?
In what the hell happened?
In a nutshell, tell me you.
In a nutshell. So COVID played a part. It wasn't it wasn't, you know, the lion's share of how I ended up where I was, but it certainly was a significant contributing factor. There were a host of other things as well. Where I found myself, and I had an episode a couple of years prior where I really struggled with depression. Uh, and it came back in a huge way for me. I think the silence, the nobody needing me. I had moved away from all my friends and family. I was living very remotely. I had my at the time 83-year-old or 82-year-old dad with me. It was like everything that I had shoved down for 55 years, and I had shoved down a lot of shit from my traumatic childhood, a lot of shit from an abusive marriage. It all just started bubbling up. And how I phrase it in my book is that I cracked. I literally just cracked like a modern day Humpty Dumpty. And
Yeah, me too.
I started drinking a lot and fantasizing daily about how to end my life. And there were 3 people that I told: my therapist, obviously, and my best friend Deb knew. And I did share with my oldest friend, and that really went south. She didn't believe me and ended a 52-year-old friendship that was really hurtful and contributed, to the shit pile that just was getting really, really big. And it culminated to the point where I was seriously afraid to, I was lying to people I loved, and I'm not a good liar, but I was becoming a decent liar. And when I think I told a lie to Deb, and then it was like, oh fuck, I am in a really precarious place. I was afraid to get behind the wheel. I was afraid to do a lot of things. I didn't trust that I wouldn't end my life. And so I very quickly, within 24 hours, did some googly research about recovery centers and made a flash decision and significant investment. It was a private center. And all within 24 hours, I committed to doing that. I let a few people know just by sending them the link. This is where I'm going. I'll let you know when I'm out. And I called Deb and I said, I need you to come and pick me up. And she dropped everything and drove 3 hours to come and get me, and took me to the airport. And we stayed at a hotel together that night and drank a bottle of Veuve and a bottle of Oyster Bay Sauvignon Blanc.
Was it your one last hurrah with alcohol?
Right. Yes. And she put me on the plane.
Yeah.
And I stayed there for 5 weeks, 5-6 weeks I was there. And then I went to they had a stage 2 place that was kind of like an Airbnb, where I continued seeing my same therapist for another couple of weeks. So that was the very end of 20. And I went back to the lake mid-January of 21. And the place saved my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. 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 What a start. Now, you said, I just want to touch on one thing you said, because I have a question about this. Going back to the intrinsic courage and having compassion on people. Can you understand now that some friends can rise up in a situation like that, and some friends are meant to just fall away? And what kind of compassion do you have to your friend of 52 years? Because I do think of like, I know in a crisis, I can tend to rise up, but other people tend not to. And you don't want to be upset with that person or hold that person like, oh, I can't believe they didn't do that. That person was not equipped to do that for you, but Deb was, and Deb was all you needed. Is that, where are you sitting with that?
Yeah.
And
in
having
fact,
compassion?
yes, it's a yes. And not only do I have compassion and understanding that she was doing the best she could, but I now can see that her role and her act of literally ending our friendship, which she did by a text, that was a pivotal thing that pushed me over the edge to go to the place. It was exactly what I needed. And I know that her role I view as a huge gift to me, and that I also know that she paid a personal price for that too. So I will be forever grateful, and I honor the role that she played in my life.
Yeah.
Well, at the same time, it's been, I don't know, 4 years now, and I have no desire to reconnect. I don't need to be her friend again and reestablish that. But I do wish her well, and I'm grateful.
Yeah. Love that. Grateful, grateful, grateful. Okay,
I can
to
see it
wrap
now.
up, we're gonna shift gears for a second. I'm just one more minute before we wrap up. I have some rapid fire fun questions for you.
Ah!
It's just a
All
choice.
right.
It's just a choice because I want to get to know
Fire.
you a bit better. I don't know you. Coffee or tea?
Both. One coffee in the morning, tea all day.
Nice, typical Canadian. My God, the Americans, the Southern Americans, do not understand the hot tea game. Let me tell you, I struggled in Hawaii.
Yeah. Occasionally I'll have an iced coffee on a hot day.
Oh, nice, nice. Okay, cats or dogs?
Oh, both. I own a cat, love my cat. I have my son has a dog. He's my grandpupper, and I love my grandpupper beyond. I'm not in a place where I feel the commitment to be the kind of dog owner that I would like to be would be fair.
Right, right, fair enough. Summer or winter?
Oh, summer. Summer, 100% summer.
Spring or fall?
Oh, I really embrace both. I love the renewing, the fresh new growth and new starts of spring. And I love sweater weather. Sweater weather.
Sweater weather. I know
And,
that one. I'm sweater weather. Sweater weather.
I love sweater weather.
All
And
Canadians.
I love Ontario autumn
Mhm.
trees. And I'm missing that a little bit here in BC.
Do you
We
get
have
that?
just a titch, just a titch. It's 90% green, which is lovely for the winter. They're still green. But we don't have the deciduous trees. We have some. I have a few on my property, which I enjoy, but it's not the grand landscape of the beautiful fall colors.
Okay, okay. Beach or mountains? Pick
I
one. Stop saying both.
oh, why do I
Pick
have
one.
to pick?
This is rapid
Beach.
fire questions,
Beach.
bitch.
Beach. Beach.
Drama or comedy?
Comedy.
Book or movie?
Book.
Sweet or savory?
Sweet.
Me too. City life or country life?
Country life.
Ontario or British Columbia?
British Columbia.
I am in Ontario and I just came back from BC. Hell yeah. I am got to move there. Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
Sunrise or sunset?
I've just made the switch. At the lake, it was the sunset, and where I live, it's the sunrise. So today and now, sunrise.
Nice. Okay, you said no questions are off limits. I can say I'm going to edit this out if you don't like it, but I don't know how to edit yet. So, vibrators or fingers? I'm sorry, I have to ask.
Vibrator.
Ah, I grew up Christian, right? And so it was like you weren't even supposed to touch yourself. And then like a few years ago, I discovered a vibrator. I've got a husband, right? But like, I'm like,
Oh.
what? Fiction or nonfiction?
Nonfiction.
Yeah.
And fiction. Nonfiction.
You have to pick one.
You know, I usually do both at the same time. I have two books always on the
You're
go.
a two-book person?
Yes, not our fiction at night so that I can fall asleep and the wheels aren't turning about how I'm going to implement all these really great ideas.
Yes.
Fiction at night and nonfiction during the day.
Smart, smart. Okay, text or call? You're 61.
Call.
This is obvious for your age. And last, are you an indoor activity person or an outdoor activity person?
Outdoor.
Yeah, well, you're in BC, you have to be outdoor.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna wrap up this. Nice chatting with you, and we're gonna do it lots more. I don't know if it's a fucking shit show or not, but we're navigating the shit storm. So
And
I'm
that's
gonna stop
episode
recording
one.
Episode
Wrap.
one, we did it.